Good evening and welcome to the Rockpile Podcast. Tonight, special guest, friend of the show, Lehigh head football coach Kevin Cahill is going to join me in just a moment. Kevin was unanimously voted as the Eddie Robinson Coach of the Year in the FCS. His team coming off a back-to-back Patriot League champs and berth in the FCS Playoff. We'll talk to Coach about that and a little bit about everything here with him on a great season in year 3 for him and a great job that he's done with the program. Before I do that, make sure to hit subscribe. Any comments, questions for Coach, put them in the comment box. I'll try to pull some over, as many as I can. I won't keep Coach too long tonight. It is 8 o'clock at night. Usually we're doing these things in the morning, but I respect his time and don't want to keep him all night. So we'll bring him on here. Coach, what's happening tonight?
What's up, Rock? How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, my friend. How are you?
New York. I'm good. We just got some snow, but not nearly as much as you guys have. So I am not complaining.
No, we last week we had 2 snow days here and things were canceled. And as I was telling you before we came on, my son just started basketball, so he played tonight. So I shot back from the gym to jump on with you, and my little one's playing some hoops. So I'm trying to figure out what offense to run with 5th and 6th grade girls. So we'll see what I have in store tomorrow night at practice. But how's it going tonight?
We're good. We actually have a night off of basketball. I think this might be the only night of the week we don't have basketball going on in this house. So we're busy, with the 3 kids and all over the place, but wouldn't want it any other way.
So, Coach, let's dive in here. First, congratulations. Another great year for you guys. Back-to-back Patriot League champs for you. I know it didn't end the way you guys wanted it to end, but we'll get into that here. I just wanted to ask you, because I know I talked to you when you first got this job, and I was going back to look for Lehigh before you took the job. I think it was 6 consecutive losing seasons. And I remember back, I think it was 2001. I think it was it Pete Limbo was the head coach there? Yeah. And matter of fact, I think he won the Eddie Robinson Award in 2001. I played against that team, really good Lehigh team, but they had really struggled before you got this job. Here you are, year 3, coming off back-to-back Patriot League champs. Are you ahead of schedule? Did you think it would turn this quick?
It's funny, when we got here, this class that's seniors, they were just finishing up their freshman year. So they were, when I came in, they're going into their 2nd semester of freshman year, and I thought this group's pretty good. We got to keep them together, and I thought we would be right about, probably a little bit ahead where we are. I think we're ahead of where I thought we would be. But in some places, I think we're right where we should be. Winning back-to-back, that wasn't on the docket, saying we're going to win back-to-back championships. That was never the goal. The goal is just to continue to get better, playing better football. And the kids bought into that and just being process-oriented and just, literally just winning one day at a time. And it worked out. And at the end of the day, we've won back-to-back championships. So we're proud of that.
Yeah, and it's always tough to stay at the top when you're coming off back-to-back, Patriot League championships. But I know when we talked in the preseason, when the Patriot League added Richmond, right, next year we're going to see Villanova, we're going to see William and Mary. And I've always said this with the Patriot League. I thought there's been years where the Patriot League deserved 2 teams in the FCS playoffs. And I think now with these teams coming in, with Villanova, is obviously you know them really well. I think we're going to see that, don't you, down the road, at multiple league bids into the playoffs?
Yeah, I hope we do, because I hope this league gets the credit it deserves. Unfortunately, our season ended playing Villanova. They came up and they beat us. I felt like we just didn't play well enough to win the game. And clearly, they're a very capable team. They're in the Final Four. They're in the semifinals right now. So I think that brings some credibility to our league. Villanova has always been a powerhouse. You've known it as a champion. I know it as champion. So it was good to see it firsthand that we were, 2 plays away from winning that game. So it just shows you the depth of this league. And quite frankly, I thought Lafayette was really good this year too, and took us everything we could to win that game in the 4th quarter. And I thought they were a playoff team. They just I feel like they got, kind of overlooked because they played 2 FBS schools. If they didn't play 2 FBS schools, they're probably in the playoffs. But that's the way we do our scheduling. You got to be careful in who you're scheduling. And fortunately, we didn't play an FBS school, and I think that worked out into our favor. Being able to host a 2nd round game, having a bye, that was big for us. But I think our league is going to be probably the toughest East Coast league, and we're continuing to get better and grow. And look at some of the teams that are down right now that They're going to be fine. Colgate's going to be fine. Kurt's going to get them going, and and Fordham was down this year. They'll be fine. They'll get it going again. And then Holy Cross has been dominant all the way through. So the league in itself is going to be good. But then you add Villanova, William and Mary, and this past year Richmond. I think it's the premier league in the East Coast.
Yeah, and I know you're familiar with the Ivy League, and the Ivy League this year gets a spot in the playoffs as well, and they represented well too. They were a tough out. I know those teams well coming from Yale. But what's your thoughts on the Ivy now getting a berth?
Yeah, I'm torn on it, to be honest with you. I was really happy for Yale. I was glad they won the league and got in.
Yeah.
Harvard didn't win the league. They played 10 games. They had a very poor non-conference schedule, and they still got in. I thought that was poor. I didn't think they should have gotten in. I think it's a one-bid league, and they got to do something about their schedule, because if they're getting in just by playing 10 games, then I don't think that's fair to the rest of us that are playing 11 or 12 games. So while it's good that they're allowed in, I don't foresee how two teams should have been in. But yeah, I just coach football. I'm not on the selection committee, but that's how I really feel. Like, good for them to get in. I'm glad Yale made some noise with it, because that's a good ball club. We faced them, and and I know them. They're a very good ball club, and I was just glad they did something when they got into the playoffs.
I feel like we're talking about the FBS here with Alabama with 3 losses, saying Alabama should have been left out. Notre Dame gets in, but anyways, we don't get paid the money to make those decisions. But when you do look at the Patriot League, Coach, when I looked at it, and you just mentioned Lafayette was really good this year, rivalry game for you guys. You won that game, but they were really good. Holy Cross was down, still find a way. I thought they played better towards the end of the year. Georgetown had a really good year for them. They won 6 games this year. Coach Fitz is going to get Colgate going. There's no doubt in my mind he's going to win some games there. And I just saw today Coach Conlon made some changes on the staff at Fordham, and I'm sure he'll get that program going. But again, top to bottom, those teams that were at the bottom, in the middle of the pack, I thought they played really well at the end of the year.
You have to be ready to go each week. It doesn't matter. Like, in getting our kids to understand that, do not look at the records. Everybody matches up against somebody different in our league. We may match up better against another team, but we play a different team, and it's a tougher matchup for us. So it's just a matter of this league. You don't know. You got to be ready to go each week. And if you're on your game, you got a shot. And if you're not, you're going to get upset, or you're going to get beat. And that's a sign of a good league. Anybody on the bottom can beat the top, and anybody in the top could make a run for it too. So I think there's a lot of parity in this league. We're all recruiting the same kids. It's pretty funny. Like, we all know who's recruiting who, and because we're such a select group of kids we can recruit, so we all know what we're doing. And very, very good coaches in this league. And and you're right, they're all it's fun. It's very competitive.
And Coach, you had some impact players, and your running back Luke Yoder, I know, was banged up at the end here. Didn't play as much for you in that game against Villanova, but you had some special backs, and you led the Patriot League in rushing. But just first talk to us a little bit about how special a player Luke was, and just how he's developed, just in the last 2 years for you.
Yeah. Luke was the first commit I had here as the head coach. So I think he got hired at the end of December, and in January he was here on an official visit, committed, and he's just taken off ever since. He's got the pedigree. His father played in the NFL, and mother was a Division I athlete at Vanderbilt, and so he's just got that drive that you love to have. And there's nobody, you tell him you can't do something, he just looks at you and laughs, and I'm going. I was surprised he played as much as he did against Villanova. He really got banged up in our last game, and he gave it everything he had, and played well. Just we overall as a team didn't play well enough. But Luke is something you build a program around. He's that type of kid where he's a great football player. He's a better person. He's a great student. He's driven, and he just does a lot for this program in so many ways. He's one of our top lifters. And so it's just when you want a kid to, hey, who represents your program in a really positive way, when it's your best players, you're having a good season.
And Coach, as I said, you led the league in rushing yards with over 3,000 as a team. And as a coach, if you can say there's 2 things you need to win games, it's being able to run the football, and defensively being able to stop the run. You were able to do that all season. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, again, we had some special seniors that were just ready to go, and we're not going to be denied. And even all the way up, even into the last game, we controlled every stat except for the scoreboard, and that was our that was our recipe for the year. We got to be able to find a way to run the ball, and we got to be able to stop the run, and we did that. And the seniors really bought into it. We have a defensive tackle, TJ Burke, who should be playing on Sundays. We'll see how that all works out for him, but he's got the numbers you want. He's got the drive you want. So hopefully it works out for him. And then we got a couple of guys that just played really, really hard and just motivated to continue to get better each day. And that at the end of it, it was a lot of fun to be around those kids.
Coach, as a former quarterback yourself, you had a sophomore quarterback who's, again, I think he got better as the year went on for you guys, being able to throw the ball and also make plays with the feet. Talk to us about Hayden and the season that he had for you.
Yeah, Hayden is probably one of the most competitive kids I've been around. And when your quarterback is the most competitive kid, you're going to do some good things. And he's gotten better. He's gotten smarter with his decisions and where to put the ball and what throws he can make, what throws he can't make. Very, very, willing to take risks, but also calculated risks as well. But he's willing to learn. He's willing to make the mistake and learn from the mistake and not make the same mistake again. And again, he's just super competitive. And I think his record is something like 15-2 as a starter or something. And his 2 losses are the 2 playoff games from the last 2 years. So when you got kids that want to compete and win and they're at the quarterback position, man, you're going to be okay.
Yeah, and speaking, and we were talking a little bit about defense. So you had some guys back. You had a great linebacking core. I think Bryson Edwards was your leading tackler with about 82, 83 tackles, and I think you had 5.5 sacks. But your linebacking core was as good as anybody in the Patriot League.
Yeah, a lot of depth there. We had a lot of depth. Bryson Edwards is, again, another kid. We always say we're going to recruit and develop, and he was a kid that we just did a great job developing and buying into the strength staff and just getting bigger, faster, stronger. And Tyler Ahoyski was the defensive player of the year for the league, and he had a tremendous year as well as a linebacker, defensive end hybrid. Will Parton stepped up big time as one linebacker. A couple other young guys too that got some playing time. So trying to win games and develop depth at the same time, and we were able to do that in the linebacking core.
And Coach, how much has the past 2 seasons? Obviously, winning brings more talent in and probably helps with you with recruiting. But back-to-back Patriot League champs, and I'd like to say now that the Patriot League runs through Lehigh. What's that do for recruiting for you guys? I see you guys signed a class of 16 guys that are coming in for next season.
Yeah, we got through first signing day with a good amount of kids, and we've got a few more to polish up here in February. Recruiting, it's interesting because I think before we would say, "Hey, Lehigh," and I'd be like, "Where's that? Who is that?" I didn't know, and I don't blame the kids for not knowing that. It's been a dormant for a few years. So when we win it and we make some noise, and then we come back again and win it again, and we're in the top 10, and we're getting some national recognition. Kids are drawn. It's amazing the kids in the transfer portal that reach out to us now. A couple of years ago, nobody would reach out to us. I want to come in and play, and it's funny, but it's not going to change our recruiting. We still got to recruit the right people. We're going to recruit talented players. That's a given, but we got to recruit the right people that fit here, that understand that the value of Lehigh and what we're all about. Because the moment you recruit too much to get away from your characteristics of what you look for, you're going to fall down, or you're going to end up in a portal, and your roster is going to turn into a mess. So we're slowly trying to stay true to who we are and recruit the kids that fit us the best.
Coach, is it more like a mid-major? I think of like basketball and even like football now. Like I see a lot of the MAC schools. Some of those guys will hit the transfer portal and they'll go to like a Ohio State or a Michigan or bigger school. Do we see that in a Patriot League where we get a lot of guys that'll jump in the portal and go play like at a MAC school, like maybe a step up? Do we see a lot of that in the Patriot League? Because it's tough academically to get in. So it's a special kid.
Yeah,
But do you guys see that?
I know. Yeah, it's trending that way, Rock. It's hard. It's just all about the money. It's just what does the kid value? Does he value the money that's going to bring it to the end game of nothing, or do you stick it out? And these kids are on scholarship, and I think that's lost. This Patriot League used to not have scholarships. Now we have scholarships, and the value of our scholarship compared to the value of a MAC scholarship or a mid-major scholarship, it's not even close. So that's the big selling point we have is stick it out, and you're going to get a degree from a great institution, and you're going to get the money later on in life when it really matters. And kids look at the money now, and they're being lied to, and it's really interesting how it's all happening, and all the agents and pseudo agents and all of that right now, and it's not fun to deal with, but it's a reality. And we can't sit here and complain about it, because if you complain about it, that means you're doing nothing about it. So we've got to continue to adjust what we're doing, and make sure that Lehigh is taken care of, and in a really good, positive way.
I know we talked about it a couple times because I always bring up, your assistant coaches with Coach Nag and Coach Hunt, and, you're blessed to have two really good guys helping you out. Does that give you the ability to kind of be like almost like the general manager, the guy that just oversees it, can spend a little bit more time doing the other things versus years ago, right? The head coach would have to be, more involved with on the field stuff, and now you got to be behind the scenes. Does it help you with that?
Yes. That was the purpose of why I tried to hire Dan and Rich. Dan is one of the brightest human beings, not even just football, just one of the brightest human beings I've ever been around. And just, he's a joy to be around. And the other thing is, I like to come to work and be around good people. And those two lead the
Yep.
way. But Dan is brilliant offensively. He and I work together very closely. I stay out of the way in game day. I just give suggestions, but it's his show. We talk a lot about it. And then Rich, the same thing. Just I've always admired Rich and what he does defensively, and puts our players in the best positions possible. I mean, I just stay out of the way. There's some suggestions I make, but it's in between drives or whatever. Or if I see something, hey, this player hasn't touched the ball, let's get this guy the ball, or we got to take a shot here, or whatever it is. It's great, but I also communicate what I'm thinking. So if we're driving the ball offensively, I'll flip over to defense and say, hey, I'm going to go for a fourth down here. Just have the defense ready here, and also just give them a heads up so I can manage the game. I think that's what's lost. I try to manage the game, with every down, what we're doing. Here's this thought process of what we're doing, and make sure that Rich and Dan both know what I'm thinking. And so they're always tuned into it. But to have those two guys in those situations, because they understand what I'm thinking, they know as a head coach role, they know the decisions I'm trying to make and trying to stay a step ahead to help them out. So it's awesome. And like I said, you couldn't it's coming in to work with your friends. That's really what it is. There's no egos in our staff, and we just like to have fun and enjoy it. And it makes it fun to coach football.
So, Coach, I was watching the Villanova game, and I said, you guys did so well all year with taking care of the football, eliminating the big plays, and the turnovers. Obviously, in that game, I just kept saying, let's get the ball back one more time. We're gonna go down and make a play. And my wife's laughing, saying, "Are you really watching the Lehigh?" I said, "Yes, I'm watching the Lehigh Villanova game." But turnovers seemed all year you guys took care of the ball, and you guys had the turnovers in that game. And I said to people before you guys started, when the bracket came out, I said, if you guys can get by Lehigh, I really think the winner of this game could make a really big run in the playoffs. And here you are. Villanova's got a good shot.
Yeah. I thought the same thing when I saw they had Harvard. I was like, all right, they're gonna run through Harvard, and I was hoping Harvard put up a little bit more of a fight, so Villanova wasn't as fresh when they played us.
Yeah.
But they were good. They were beatable too. That's the frustrating thing, is you see them, and I think the world of Coach Ferrante and what he's done there, and all the way back to Coach Talley. They've run such a class program, and quite frankly, that's the model we've been trying to follow, is what Villanova does. I annoy our staff all the time, like, what are they doing? How do we get better? How are they better than us? How do we get to that model? But yeah, you're right. You can't turn the ball over in those critical games. We didn't turn the ball over. We didn't fumble all year long, and then we fumbled twice in that game. And and it's people, just looking at it, I'm like, that's football. When you get an opportunity to compete against a really good team, they didn't make the mistakes and we did, and we're at home and they're still playing. So it's a tough pill to swallow, but that's life. We got to move on and learn from those mistakes and get ready to go for next year.
Yeah, Coach, and I saw the crowds throughout the season for you guys, and I couldn't make it to the game at Colgate this year when you were down this way. I got a chance to see Fordham play down at Colgate, but I was hoping to get down and watch you guys.
Yeah.
How much of a nice home game with the crowd? I mean, your fans have been fantastic all year. You had great crowds, and I remember many years ago there was nobody in the seats, and now here you are in year 3, and the stadium was rocking. It looked like.
Yeah, the coolest thing, Rock, was how you measure your program. And yeah, we had a better year and we're winning and everything, but the people that were there was so cool. Because my first game as a head coach here was against Villanova. And there might have been, we laughed about it afterwards, there might have been 100 people total there, and 90 of those were parents and friends of the players. So it was like nobody in the stadium. And then you come back and you fill the home section, and there's almost 9,000 people there and rooting for you. I was like, we've come a long way. And to host a playoff game, first one since I think since 2001 that we had hosted a playoff year, 2004, whatever it was, since we've hosted a playoff game, and undefeated, win the league. All the first time since was like, we're doing some good things here. But anytime you have a good product, they want to come see it, and especially here in the Lehigh Valley, they love their football around here, and they love to be around it, and they want to be around winners. And I would hear from all the alumni. That was probably the coolest thing, was the alumni, and then the students. The amount of students that showed up for our home playoff game was awesome. It was just a good atmosphere. The last two games we played over at our rival, the amount of students that were over there, and then our home game in the playoffs I was like, okay, this should be the norm, and we've got to, in order to have that be the norm, we got to continue to win and win the right way.
Yeah, and one of the things I'll say is that I like to watch a lot of the press conferences when coaches get jobs, and after games. And I forget, somebody had shared your press conference, and I think I made a post on Twitter and said, I hope my son's lucky enough to play for a coach like yourself, because you got emotional in the press conference and you were so passionate about those seniors. I thought that was awesome to see. But talk to us about, what was the message after the game to the team and the seniors, because I know you were a really good group for you.
Yeah, it was just a really special group of kids, and they'll always be, they'll always be a special group to me. They could have left, they could have transferred, they could have done everything else, but they decided to stay. They grouped together and said, we're staying here, we're going to build this thing. And each kid had to make that decision, and they just stayed true to who we were, and we just stayed together and just kept building and building and building. So, it was pretty emotional after the game to realize that they're not going to be there. Some of those kids, like Jeffrey Jamil, I'm very close with Jeff as a receiver, and I think it hit me right then. I looked at his chair; he was gone. Like he's not going to be, he's still going to be busting my chops all the time because he gives me such a hard time and jokes around with me, but he's not going to be there catching the ball anymore. And some of those other guys that it's not on the field. Like, it's not all the on the field stuff. It's the off the field stuff that I'll miss the day-to-day interactions that you want to have with your players, and have that, the open relationship, and be able to talk to them about other things. And those are the things I'll miss about the seniors. They're all good players. You'll miss them on the field, and the depth chart and all that stuff changes. That's great. But it's the people that are leaving the program. That's the hardest part for me to swallow, just the leaders and just the good men that they are.
So I got to be honest with you, on Twitter, the UConn job came open, and I said, there's two names that I recall, and I said, no particular order. I said, one of them is Joe Moorhead, who was the offensive coordinator there. He's another Fordham guy with UConn ties. And then the second one I said was you. And then I'm looking on Twitter, and I see now Coastal Carolina might come calling, and your name was up there for you. How nice is it to see your name and hear your name being mentioned for some of these other jobs?
Well, it's nice, and it's a headache at the same time, because you're trying to get ready for a playoff game, and your players are asking, are you leaving? Are you staying? What's going on? And you know what? You don't want those distractions. You really don't.
Yep.
I firmly believe our calendar, the football calendar, is a disaster. It's a mess. You've got coaches leaving before playoff runs. You've got players not playing in bowl games because they're getting ready for this. Our calendar is a disaster, and something needs to be done about it. I've made some suggestions about how we need to go to the NFL model, where there's a free agency period, that's a transfer portal. There's a signing period, a draft, which is our February, and there's a coaching transition phase too, where everything can happen after the season. So it was really cool to just be like mentioned on some things, and I couldn't look at it all on social media. My kids, my son was all over it, like tracking flights and all. Hey, Dad, you're in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina right now. I said, oh, that's cool. How's it going down there? I'm literally just got home from practice, so that's pretty funny. It was cool, but it's also, you just want to focus on playing your game and focus on the team and everything. So the time will be right if the move needs to happen. But I could not be more excited about continuing to build this here at Lehigh. I think there's so much room for growth here, and continuing to get better in a league that's just getting harder and harder, like we discussed earlier.
So, Coach, who do you like in the playoff? And I'll ask you in the FCS playoff, and then the FBS. Who do you like?
Oh, I gotta pull from Nova. I just want an East Coast team to make noise and go to the finals. And we're playing them next year, and it's everything. It's going to kill us in recruiting and everything, but
Yep.
you got to pull for them, And they're gonna, they get a tough Illinois State game coming in, but they got home. They got like a 37 game winning streak at home or something like that going on, and you got to pull for them. And then I initially thought they should have separated Montana and Montana State in the seedings.
Yeah,
I don't think they should have been 2 and 3. I think it should have been 2 and 4 or whatever. They played each other last game of the season. I thought they should have separated them so they play. If they did play against each other, it would have been in the championship. But I'm not in those meetings, so I don't know what the criteria was. It's irrelevant. They're going to play each other anyway in the semifinals, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And quite frankly, the Power Four, that I don't even pay attention that much to that stuff. I don't have time. I know Notre Dame going to get in. I was kind of bummed they didn't get in. I thought they should have. I didn't think Alabama should have gotten in. And I also think we got to do something about the two, the James Madison and Tulane. It's awesome that they're in it, but
Yep.
Do they really deserve both of them in there over the other ones? So I don't know. I love watching Oregon play. Went and saw them play Rutgers this year with the family. I just think they're exciting to watch. And I just don't know who's going to beat. Obviously Indiana beat Ohio State, but I think Ohio State's so tough. And I think Indiana's good. Tough. Here's my claim right now is that I had a Heisman Trophy candidate, actually a Heisman Trophy winner, committed to Yale. So when I was at Yale, I got Fernando Mendoza to commit to Yale. I had dinner at his house, knows family well, everything, and then he transferred.
Awesome.
He decommitted and went to Cal in January, and then I've been following his career ever since, and I always thought he was going to be good. I didn't know he was going to be a Heisman. So I can identify the talent. I just can't keep the talent. That's where my claim is right now.
He's a great story. Indiana's a great story. My wife's a big Ohio State fan. I'm a Michigan fan. So right now I'm down in the dumps because our program.
You can't talk right now.
I can't really say too much about it, but I think I'm going to pull for Indiana. I was going to pull for Ole Miss because I'm a Lane Kiffin guy, and then Lane Bells goes Della.
He gets you every time. He gets you every time. Just when you start believing him and liking him,
So hey, one more thing. Your son. How old's the older son? Because he's in high school, right? He's a quarterback, had a good year. What year is he?
He's a junior. He's a junior right now. So he just finished his junior fall. Patrick. He is just finished football. He's not doing anything. He lifts in the wintertime and does. We just got home from throwing. We were throwing together. And then he'll play. I think he's playing lacrosse this spring. He was baseball the way through, and now he's playing lacrosse this spring. So yeah, he had a really good fall, and we're excited to see where his future goes. And it's been fun. I'll tell you this: I had no problem playing quarterback. I loved it. I had no problem coaching the quarterbacks. I loved it. I had no problem being the head coach of it all. I loved it. I am a terrible father of a quarterback. I can tell you that right now. My heart rate races in games. I am just going nuts. I'd sit by myself. Now I get it. I understand why my dad did that. I get it. I understand it. Because there's nothing like watching your kid play in a pressure situation. It's real.
Yeah, I didn't have to worry about that. My son's a linebacker, played middle backer, and was a fullback / tight end. So I don't have to worry about the quarterback days. But now, like you just said, I get it. When my mom was a nervous wreck when I was playing quarterback, my dad was a little bit different. But we were fortunate. Right. We had good parents, coaches as dads, and we had it good growing up. I wish more kids had it like we did.
Special, and there's a special bond of that too, Rock. Like you understand other kids that just had parents as coaches. It's like, it's cool. You grow up differently.
Well, listen, man, I won't keep you. It's an honor to have you on. Followed you all year, and couldn't be more prouder of you. And I'm a Lehigh fan, but of course, I got to stay to my roots. I'll always pull for Fordham, but I'll pull for you guys, Colgate, and we'll definitely get you on again in the spring. But I appreciate you always being good to me.
Hey, I respect the fact that you stay true to your colors too. So I can always say that. I always respect the Fordham one, and I appreciate all your support. And I can tell you this: the amount of people from Central New York that reached out to me this year. I got a phone call from Mike Tomasetti, my high school basketball coach, before
That's
the playoff
awesome.
game, and it was the coolest phone call I've gotten in a long, long time. And just to hear his voice, and I felt like I was going to start running wind sprints again, just hearing his voice yell at me and talk to me over the phone, and that meant the world to me. And just the different people reaching out, and you especially appreciate all your support, and just a Central New York kid down here having some fun in Pennsylvania and trying to make the Patriot League special and make Central New York proud too. So thank you for your support, Rock.
No, you've done that, Coach. Listen, Merry Christmas to you, and we'll talk after the new year.
Awesome. Sounds good. Happy holidays. Enjoy the family.
Same to you, Coach. Thank you.